mark my words, if we have somebody that tests us on that, we will make an example out of them.
Georgia's governor sending a strong message, a push to keep people indoors and away from others.
The governor has mandated daycare workers as essential employees, but how are they going to keep your children safe inside those daycares during this pandemic? I'll tell you, coming up.
Congress reaches a deal to support the economy. Why the president says this will mean money in your pockets in just a matter of weeks.
It makes me feel good knowing that we're getting stuff out there if it's needed.
Tonight, the wife of a paramedic changing the narrative of COVID-19 by giving back.
Schools may be closed, but that didn't stop dozens of teachers from seeing their students. The parade that brought communities to tears.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight for CBS 46 News at 9 on Peachtree TV. I'm Sean Gables.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Alicia Roberts from inside the CBS 46 studios, and first here at 9 tonight, the number of coronavirus cases in Georgia is skyrocketing. The Department of Health now says there are 1,387 cases in our state. That is an increase of 140 cases since just noon today. Tonight, 47 deaths are now blamed on the virus, bringing the death rate to 3.39%. Now out of Washington, the Trump administration says the Senate is expected to pass a $2 trillion economic package tonight. It would ease the financial burden from the coronavirus pandemic for so many. The measure includes a cash payment of up to $1,200 for most working Americans and $500 per child. Also tonight, the White House saying officials there could, in fact, put payments into the hands of Americans within the next 3 days via direct deposit. Now, if the government does not have your direct deposit information from your tax return, your check would come in the mail. Meanwhile, the president is continuing to urge everyone to separate themselves from others.
More aggressively, we commit to social distancing, more lives we can save, and the sooner we can eventually get people back to work, back to school, and back to normal.
The $2 trillion measure is the largest economic relief bill in history.
Cobb and Gwinnett County have joined a growing list of metro Atlanta counties and cities ordering people to stay inside. So far, Governor Brian Kemp has not made that demand on the state level. Instead, he's just asking that you practice social distancing. CBS 46's Karen Greer asked the governor, how is it going to be enforced?
I would hope we wouldn't have to enforce it. I wish our people would do the right thing and not put us in a position to do that. But mark my words, if we have somebody that tests us on that, we will make an example out of them.
Marl, if you will have a chance to ask the governor and his staff about coronavirus. The governor's statewide town hall airs tomorrow night at 8 on CBS 46. You can submit your questions right now on the CBS 46 Facebook page. And new tonight, Cobb County officials have signed an emergency authorization to allow the controversial Sterigenics plant to reopen. It comes as demand increases for sterilized medical equipment. The FDA commissioner called upon the governor to open the plant last week. The governor told CBS 46 today it could reopen in a matter of days. Sterigenics has been closed since October over pollution concerns.
New tonight, while schools across the state remain closed, the governor has named child care facilities essential businesses, and that means they are allowed to stay open for business. Tonight, CBS 46's Trayson Bragg is pushing for answers on how the state plans to keep your children safe.
I know what you're thinking. Daycares and COVID-19 pandemic don't really make a great mix. But state officials say they have a plan to help keep your child safe.
Daycares are a hotbed of all sorts of colds and viruses going around.
This father didn't want to show his face, but tells me his 3-year-old son won't be heading to his daycare during this deadly pandemic. Like many parents I spoke to today, he was shocked to learn Governor Kemp is allowing daycares to keep their doors open during these frightening times.
Seems like a perfect place for the virus to spread, and so if you're trying to stop the spread of the virus, it seems like it makes sense to close it down.
So I decided to call the state and get some answers.
Of course, in child care, it is impossible to maintain 6 feet between individuals.
Amy Jacobs' department oversees the operation of all child care facilities in the state. She tells me officials have a plan to help keep your young child COVID-19 free.
So we've asked child care to limit their class sizes in a self-contained classroom to 10 or fewer people. So that would mean their teacher and any children who would need.
Why 10? Well, Jacob says that recommendation came straight from the CDC. Today, during a webinar with 1,200 child care providers, she shared a few extra recommendations, including screening families at the door.
Either it's a temperature check or it's questions, do you have a temperature? Have you been around anyone that you believe has symptoms related to COVID-19? And of course, if those are the cases, then those children would need to go home.
Even if parents pass that screening, they don't need to step foot inside the facility.
We're recommending that either they receive that child at the door of the child care center or they receive that child at the door of the classroom, just to limit more exposure of people in and out of the building.
For parents and employees who see child care facilities having more than 10 people inside a classroom, you can call the number at the bottom of your screen and report that child care facility. They may receive a fine. Reporting from the Capitol, I'm Trayson Bragg, CBS 46 News.
Trayson, thank you. We have talked about those on the front lines of the coronavirus pandemic, but what about their families? Tonight, CBS 46's Barmel Lyons speaks to one of the women who says this has not been easy.
It's just really scary. I don't sleep much anymore at home, worrying what he's going to be exposed to and if he's going to bring it home.
Former paramedic and wife of a first responder, Jody Johnston, says the coronavirus pandemic has turned her life upside down.
Our laundry room, now decontamination area. He'll leave his shoes in the garage to get decontaminated.
So the 13 and the 9-year-old understand a lot more than the 1-year-old does. He's used to daddy coming home and being able to hug him, pick him up, and now he can't.
Johnston says the situation is heartbreaking.
The choices that we've made for our careers, and it's not a choice that they've made, but they're kind of reaping the consequences of that.
But Johnston and a family friend, Shannon Nasworthy, are changing the narrative by teaming up with their kids to make protective masks for first responders.
She wants to do something because she's been in the medical field, and it just makes us feel like we're actually able to do something from home.
But what can ordinary people do to make an extraordinary difference?
As far as healthcare and grocery stores right now, especially your pharmacists, everybody, just tell them thank you, pray for them. I think that'll make a big difference.
In a Facebook post, Johnson says to her family, friends, and husband, "I love you and pray for your protection every day. Thank you for all you do, knowing the risk. You are my heroes." In Rome, Barmel Lyons, CBS 46 News.
Barmel.